Hey everybody, I'm back with another EFT video, and I'm picking up on this idea of anxiety and safety. I'm just getting really fascinated by the whole thing because many of you may have taken a class of mine that I did called Unconditional Happiness. And the whole thing about our modern day life, the whole gift of consciousness as it has evolved to where we are right now, is that we can begin to discover ways of internally generating what normally we just got from the environment in which we lived. I have a definition of freedom. My definition of freedom is really simple. It's really poignant. And that's simply this. Freedom is a sense of well-being that is not dependent upon circumstances. What if it was possible to have a sense of safety and of inner empowerment that did not depend upon circumstances? Now, this seems very unusual to us because when we think of safety, we think of the conditions of safety. We don't think of safety as an inherent inner quality that we could have. We also don't think that way about freedom, about wealth, about health, about happiness. We see them as being conditional, circumstantial. And so we spend our entire life trying to create the circumstances of safety and wealth and health and happiness. Isn't that what our world's doing? You know, we're defending ourselves constantly. We're trying to, control everything going on in the world so that way we can feel safe. I mean, this idea of controlling conditions in order to establish a sense of well-being is literally laying waste to the earth. So clearly, it's a wrong strategy because it has done exactly the opposite. It's created a world that's even more daunting and more threatening than the one that we left behind. So our approach is simply wrong, obviously wrong. There must be a different way. Well, that different way is discovering a sense of inner safety, of inner freedom, of inner happiness. And I'm going to be doing several EFT videos on this subject because it is key to the entire thing. We distance ourselves, we disconnect ourselves from the very things we want because thinking of them, believing them deep down in our hearts that it is a set of conditions that I have to create in order to feel this way, I completely cut myself off from immediate, ready access to health, to wealth, to happiness, to joy, to freedom, to peace, and to safety. It is my absolute conviction that they are internal states. They are internal aspects of our own being, that happiness is the concomitant of who we actually are and not something that one attains. And that even in the attaining of it through circumstance is actually illusory. That the circumstance for a moment simply gives us permission to feel a sense of safety and well-being that is actually inherent, that's actually been there the whole time, but blocked by our belief. Our belief has created a very different world, triggered inside us the natural sense of defense, right? Because if something really is threatening you from the environment, your body knows how to respond to it. And so with these images of constantly assuming that it's not, and I have to create the conditions in order to get it, and I don't have all the power I need or wealth or whatever to get the conditions that I need, convinces us that we are in fact not safe. What if safety, freedom, health, wealth were unconditional? What if they were actually inherent in us? The only way to really discover that is to have some kind of experience of it. And one of the things that I use the emotional freedom technique for is to help calm the energy system and bring it back to a state that feels safe, even though the circumstances haven't changed. Now, the long-term embodiment of that, the long-term transformation that makes that a way of life and not just an experience, requires more than just EFT tapping can do. That's why I created Inner Reconciliation. You can learn more about that. There's a little button up here that, well, that's just, yeah, there's a little button up here that you can go to see that. There's also a link down below where you can learn about Inner Reconciliation. I did a webinar about it. That really addresses the long-term issue, but using EFT, we can get an experience of it. So right now, I want you to think of something that makes you feel anxious. You know, maybe it's tax time or something. You've got a big presentation coming up, or there's somebody you want to ask out. Anything that makes you feel anxious. Or maybe you're just, you're struggling with money, or you've got some health issues and the like, and your future seems unclear. It seems there's all these conditions that seem to be missing in order for you to feel good about yourself, in order for you to feel as though there's that you're not going to be destroyed. And just let yourself actually feel it. I know this sounds strange. In Inner Reconciliation, the very first thing I do is invite ourselves, and I literally train you to allow yourself to feel even the things that are the most uncomfortable. Because if you can get to those things and we can relieve them, we have real progress in our lives. Because it's hard to relieve a problem when you're not really feeling it. It becomes theoretical. You just kind of get some mind stuff going on. But if you're actually having a visceral experience, it's a completely different thing. So just think of something that's that you feel really anxious about. And I'm going to speak in general terms, but you'll get it specifically. And let's just see what happens. Just notice where you are. You can use the scale of 0 to 10, 0 being I'm totally calm, 10 being I'm off the charts anxious about this. And make sure you got something that gets you above 5 at least, so that you can so that you really are experiencing a sense of anxiety, a sense of fear, a sense of concern or worry about this particular thing. So let's start tapping. So even though I'm really anxious about this, even though I don't know how to solve it, I don't know how to create the conditions I need, I don't know how to make it go away, I deeply and completely love and accept myself just the way I am. Even though I don't know how to fix this, I don't even know if I can fix it. This could just completely destroy me. I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself anyway. Even though I've got all sorts of other things I feel about it. Self-doubt and guilt. Oh, I could have avoided this. Why didn't I see this coming? I should have done things differently. All these things that support my anxiety. I totally accept that they're there. I totally accept that this is happening. And I love and accept myself anyway. Let's tap to the points. This anxiety, this thing hanging over my head, this thing that's really threatening me. I need to try to control it. But I don't seem to have the control. I don't seem to be able to do anything with it. It makes me feel so anxious. I'm so afraid. I'm looking everywhere for a solution. But I just don't find one. Obviously, if I knew the solution, I would have done it already. So I'm really looking for something I don't have yet. And I'm afraid it's not going to come. At least not in time. Oh, why didn't I do things differently? I should have seen this coming. But I didn't see it coming. And I'm open to the possibility. Just open to the possibility that maybe I can feel surprisingly calm, surprisingly competent, surprisingly resourceful from somewhere inside of me. Maybe there is a solution. If there's a problem, there must be a solution. And I must be capable of knowing it. Yeah, I don't see it right now. But what if it was possible for me to feel safe anyway? What if it was possible for me to feel relaxed anyway? Certainly a relaxed state is going to be more conducive. It's going to be easier to think clearly. It's going to make me more open to opportunities and solutions. Maybe it is more natural to me. Maybe I was just trained to be anxious. Maybe it's not my natural state. I mean, I'm already feeling a sense of calm. And the circumstances haven't changed. Maybe safety isn't conditional. Maybe this is possible. Take a deep breath. And just notice what's happened. It's really very, very powerful. Notice the calmness that has come into the system, and the circumstances haven't changed. Now, what I want to point out about emotional freedom technique and inner reconciliation and meditation and all the things that I teach is that they are not creating an artificial state. They are not putting you into some kind of state that you're going to fall out of later. What they're really doing is clearing away the artificial state, which is a sense of safety based on conditions. And they are liberating within you the natural, inherent sense of safety that's always there. It's a big difference in approach. It's not, I'm not safe, and I do some tapping, and now I feel safe, and then a little bit later I'm going to fall out of it, and I'm going to go back, as if tapping is just another condition that helps me create safety. What it really does is send a message of safety to the nervous system so it begins to relax. It begins to not be so conflicted with the environment. And the safety that's been there the whole time emerges. The sense of well-being that is not dependent upon circumstances emerges. This is the whole premise of inner reconciliation and pretty much everything I teach. That it is inherent within us and is not something we have to seek. In the next video, I'm going to take up some very key things that we all deal with: powerlessness and vulnerability. So until then, this is GP Walsh. Namaste.